Hey everyone, and welcome. So, you've probably seen these three letters, ESG, popping up pretty much everywhere these days. It's this framework that's seriously reshaping how we think about companies, and it's influencing trillions, and I mean trillions, of dollars in investments. So, today we're going to crack that code. We're going to dive in and really understand what it all means. So, let's just start with a really simple but kind of big question. When you look past the profits, what really makes a company good? I mean, is it how they treat their employees? Their impact on the planet? This question right here is the absolute heart of the entire ESG framework. And more, the answer is found in those three letters, E, S, and G. The best way to think about it is like a report card for a business, or maybe like a nutritional label. It's a way to measure how a company is doing on things that go way, way beyond just the financial numbers. All right, first up, let's tackle the E. E is for environmental. This is all about a company's relationship with our planet. You know, its footprint, its impact, and what it's actually doing to protect the natural world. Basically, the E pillar is asking some pretty tough questions. Like, how much energy is this company really using? Where does it get that energy from? And what on earth happens to all the waste it creates? It's basically a full audit of its environmental performance. Now, to really measure this, we have to look at something called scopes of emissions. I know, it sounds technical, but stick with me, it's actually pretty straightforward. Scope 1, that's the easy one. It's the direct emissions from a company's own factories. But it gets deeper. Scope 2 covers the emissions from the energy a company buys, like electricity. And then there's the really big one, Scope 3. That covers everything else in the value chain, from the raw materials it uses all the way to how customers use its products. It's the whole shebang, a complete picture of its carbon footprint. And, it goes way beyond just emissions. We're also looking at how a company manages other precious resources. Is it recycling its water? Is it working to protect biodiversity where it operates? These are the kinds of things that show the difference between a company that just takes from the environment and one that's actively trying to preserve it. Okay, so that's the planet covered. Next up, the S for social. If E is all about the planet, S is all about people. This is the human side of the business. And let me tell you, the social pillar is incredibly broad. It covers pretty much every relationship a company has, with its own employees, with its customers, with its suppliers, and with the communities it's a part of. It's really all about being a good corporate citizen. So looking inside the company, it all comes down to one big question. How does a company treat its team? We're looking at the obvious stuff, of course, like fair wages and workplace safety, but it also goes deeper into things like mental health support and overall well-being, which these days are seen as huge indicators of a healthy, thriving company culture. And, a company's responsibility doesn't just stop at its own front door. As you can see here, a company that's strong on the S pillar is vetting its entire supply chain. It's checking its suppliers for risks, making sure they follow ethical standards, and even working with them to get better. It's about taking ownership of the whole process from start to finish. And then there's the company's role in society at large. Is its product safe? Is it protecting your data? A huge one these days. Does it actually invest in the communities where it operates? This is where a company's positive impact can be felt for generations. Okay, finally, we get to the G for governance. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds a little dry. But trust me, this is the glue that holds everything else together. It's the internal rulebook for how a company is actually managed. Think of governance as the company's operating system. It's all about the checks and balances that make sure there's accountability, fairness, and transparency in how decisions get made from the very top of the boardroom all the way down. So what does good governance actually look like? Well, it really starts at the top. Is the board diverse? Is it independent? Are there ironclad anti-corruption policies in place? These are the foundational building blocks that determine whether a company is built to last or not. This slide here just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got weak governance, which leads to all sorts of problems like corruption and conflicts of interest. On the other side, strong governance builds trust through things like transparency and solid risk management. It's really the difference between a house of cards and a fortress. So, we've covered the E, the S, and the G. Now let's pull back and look at the big picture, because this is where we see why this stuff is so incredibly important. This image really shows how deep each pillar goes, but the real magic is how they all fit together. You see, you can't just be good at one piece of the puzzle. For example, a company that pollutes its environment, that's a big failure in E, is probably going to have terrible community relations, a failure in S, which, if you trace it back, often points to weak leadership, a failure in G. It's all one interconnected story.
And that is the real takeaway here. ESG isn't just some feel-good metric. It's an incredibly powerful lens for seeing a company's hidden risks, and, just as importantly, its future opportunities. It's really about redefining what value truly means in the 21st century.
So as we face these massive global challenges, things like climate change and social inequality, the question becomes, will a company's ESG score one day be even more important than its stock price? Could this framework, E, S, and G, become the new, true standard for what a successful business actually looks like? Something to think about.